Hey guys, welcome back. So as discussed in this session, we are directly going to do a big application, a project using RMI callback chat server. As I told you, we'll be doing this in two stages. The first stage will be common chat room. Message from one client goes to all. Once we finish that, then we'll go to the second stage. We'll upgrade it to stage 2, private messaging. Message from one client goes to one client. As I told you, server application will be a console based application. Client application will be a GUI, JFrame. We'll be having 4 GUI components: JText area, JText field, JButton, and JList. Messages which are coming from server, we'll display it in JText area. The messages which we have to send to the server, the client has to send to the server, will be typed in JText field, and that JList will show the candidates who are there in the chat room. Okay. And this application will be done using RMI callback. Means not only client calling methods on server, even server calling methods on client. So as discussed, we'll be starting with two interfaces. We'll be writing two interfaces. One interface implemented by server, known by client. Another interface implemented by client, known by server. So two interfaces. Let's say chat server interface and chat client interface. So let's begin from there. Let's start. File, new, Java. Package, let's say chat. Okay. Import java.rmi.star. Public interface chat server interface extends remote. So this chat server interface will be implemented by server, known by client. So whatever remote methods you declare inside this interface, server is going to give body to those methods and client is going to call it. Okay. Similarly, the other interface, file, new, Java, package, chat, import java.rmi.star, public interface chat client interface extends remote. This interface will be implemented by client, known by server. So whatever methods we declare inside this interface, client is going to implement them, server is going to call them. Okay. Now let's first go to chat server interface. And I will like to have your inputs. Which remote methods that you think should we declare in this particular interface, chat server interface? Remember, this is the interface which will be implemented by server, known by client. So whatever methods you declare here, server is going to give body to those methods and client is going to call. So go ahead and let me know what method or methods do you think should come inside this interface. You know the problem definition. Don't you think one of the methods that we should declare inside this interface is such a method which client will call and pass his message as argument. Which message which he wants to be broadcasted. Okay. Client should call one method on server and pass a message as argument. That message which he wants it to be broadcasted to all the clients, because the broadcasting is going to happen through server. So that client will give the message to the server so that server can broadcast it. Okay. So client calls a method on server and passes his message as argument. So means it should be such a method. Don't you think whose parameter type should be string? Yes. And what about the return type? Is that method going to return anything? No. Server is going to just take that message. Once he gets it, he's going to broadcast it. He's not going to return anything to the client. So how should be the signature of that method? Something like this. Public void, return type will be void. Server is not going to return anything to him. Take message. Client is calling this method on server, take message, and he will pass his message as argument. In fact, all the clients who want their messages to be broadcasted, they all are going to call this method on server and they're going to pass their messages. As soon as server receives, he is supposed to broadcast it. So take message takes parameter string message and has a throws clause, throws remote exception. Okay. Throws remote exception. Client is going to call this method on server, pass his message. Now once, don't you think server receives this message, he has to broadcast it? How will he broadcast? How will he broadcast? He has to give this message to all the clients. How is he going to do it? Don't you think then server in turn will call a method on every client and he's going to pass the message as argument? Any message that he receives from any client, he has to give it to all the clients. How is he going to give? He's going to call a method on every client and he's going to pass that message as argument. So don't you think this method that we are talking about, it is such a remote method which should be declared in chat client interface? Because whatever methods you declare in chat client interface, client is going to give body to those methods and server is going to call it. Okay. So server should call a method on client and he's going to pass the message as argument. So such a method should be given in chat client interface. So let's go there in chat client interface. And here is where we give that method. Again, server is going to call this method on client and he's going to pass a message. Is that method going to return anything? No, client is not going to return. He will just receive the message, and the message that he receives, he's going to show it in his text area. The message which has come from server, he has to display it in his text area. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to return anything. So again, public return type void, name of the method. Again, let's say take message. Please don't confuse. That take message will be in server. This take message will be in client. It's just a coincidence that the name is same. Okay. Takes parameter, again string message, throws remote exception. Okay. So we actually wanted to discuss methods about chat server interface, but we landed up discussing one method in chat client interface also. But let's again go back to chat server interface. Which other method or methods do you think should come in this interface? Should we put in this interface? Understand. Client is going to call this take message method on server. Is he going to call this method directly on server? No. He's going to call it on server stub. Client is not going to call this take message method directly on server. He's going to call it on server stub. The question comes, how is client going to get that server stub? How is he going to get it? He's going to look up Client is going to look up. Server is going to bind his stub in RMI registry. Client will look up, get the stub, call the method. Great. Great. Okay. But then server also has to call a method on client. So again, is server going to call that method directly on client? No. He's going to call it on client stub. Whatever method server has to call on client, he's going to call on client stub. Now the question comes, how will server get client stub? Client gets the server stub by looking up in RMI registry. How will server get client stub? If you're thinking that client is going to bind his stub in RMI registry, server is going to look up. No. Remember, that's what I told you when I was explaining you the architecture. That is not what we are going to do. Client is not going to bind and server is going to look up. No. Remember, RMI registry is just used to boot the system. Once booted, we don't use RMI registry. If you recollect, client is looking up for server stub from RMI registry, is getting it. Now what client can do, remember the other day also I told you, what client can do, he can call a method on server and pass his stub as argument. Client can call a method on server. Client already has server stub. He has looked up for server stub from RMI registry. So now, can't he call a method on server and pass his stub as argument? Yes. That's exactly what we had discussed during the architecture. I'd given you an example. I want to call you. I don't have your number. I look up in telephone directory, naming service. On your name, I'll get your number. Now, once I get your number, I can call you. I call you. Now, I'll be a fool if I tell you that whenever you want to call me, look up in directory and find the number and call me. I have given you a call. Can't I give you my number? Yes. The same way, client is already looking up for server stub. He's got the server stub. Now he can call methods on server. So can't he call a method on server and pass his stub as argument? Yes, he can do. Only thing is, such a method has to be declared in chat server interface. Such a method which client can call and pass his stub as argument, pass his stub. So what do you think should be the parameter type of that method? Client is going to pass his stub. Yeah, we can keep parameter type remote. Remote. Absolutely correct. But can we have a better option than remote? Chat client interface. We can keep the parameter type as chat client interface. Client is going to pass his own stub. Client stub is going to implement chat client interface. So don't you think we can keep the parameter type as chat client interface? Because anyway, if we keep remote, we'll have to further typecast it to chat client interface. So it's better that we directly keep the parameter type to be chat client interface. This is our application. We can be specific. Okay. So we'll have such a method declared. Such a remote method we'll declare inside chat server interface, whose parameter type is chat client interface. So that client can call, every client will call that method on server and pass his stub as argument. Is that method going to return anything? No. Server is just going to accept that. Server will get it. He's going to accept it. That client stub. Server is not going to return anything. So the return type will be void. In fact, what we will do, this method which client is going to call and he's going to pass his stub, this method, in our case, we'll take two parameters, two. Not only will he pass his stub, he will also pass his name, because in this application, we are supposed to maintain the names of all the clients also. So we'll have this method take two parameters, string, he's going to pass his name, comma, chat client interface, he's going to pass his stub, two parameters. So let's declare that method. Okay. Public void, return type will be void. Let's say login. as if client is logging in by calling this method, and he's going to pass two arguments, his name and his stub. So we'll take this method will take two parameters, string name, okay, comma chat client interface ref. Okay. Again has a throws clause, throws remote exception. That's it. Now, apart of this, what do you think? Any other remote method or methods in this interface? You know what you can do? Like login, you can keep a method logout. Whenever client wants to go, he can call that logout method. So in a way, he's going to intimate server that he's going. A method by the name logout. Will that method take any parameter? Yes. That method will either take parameter string, that client is going to pass his name, okay, or that method can take parameter chat client interface. He's going to pass his stub. See, he has to pass one of his identity at least. Any client is calling this method, which client? He has to identify himself. And there are only two ways he can identify, either by giving his name or by giving his stub. So that method should either take parameter string, or it should take parameter chat client interface, or it may take both of them, string comma chat client interface. But I think one parameter is sufficient. So we'll make this method take only one parameter, string. So any client who's going to call this method, he's going to pass his name. Okay. But yeah, here we have an assumption that every client has a unique name. That is our assumption, correct? So let's give that method. Public void. Again, server is not going to return anything. Client is going to call this logout method. Server is not going to return anything. So public void logout takes parameter string name. Okay. And as a throws clause, throws remote exception. Okay. I think we are done. As far as this interface is concerned, we are done. We have declared all the methods. Okay. Now let's go to chat client interface. So one of the methods in chat client interface is take message. Server is going to call this method and he's going to pass the message. Which message? Which server must have received from some client. Okay. Any other methods do you think in this interface? Yes, one more method. Our client is a GUI. One of the GUI components that we have in our client application is JList, where what we have to show the clients who are there in the chat room. The names of those clients we have to show in that JList, those who are there in the chat room. But these names of the clients, they are with whom? With whom they are? They are with the server. Okay. So don't you think client needs it? Client needs it. So we'll keep such a method which server can call on client and pass the names of those clients who are there in the chat room. See, the names are with the server. There are two ways. Either server gives those names to the client. How? By calling a method on client and passing those names as argument. Or the other way is client goes and gets it from him. Now, when client goes and gets it from him, it means client calls a method on server and that method returns. Okay. But what do you think? Which is the correct option? Should server come and give the names to the client, or should client go and pick it up from the server? If server gives, how will he give? He will call a method on client and pass those names as argument. And if client goes and picks it up, so client calls a method on server and that method returns those names. What do you think? Which approach do you think is correct? Server should come and give it. Why? because anyone is coming in the chat room or going out of chat room, who comes to know? Server comes to know. So whenever that list is updated, server comes to know. So don't you think as soon as someone comes in or someone goes out, client server will come to know. So he should call a method on client and pass that list as argument, list of those names. Okay. So don't you think such a method has to be given in chat client interface? Public return type again will be void. Client is not going to return him anything. Name of the method, let's say take client list. Take client list. Server will call this method take client list on client and pass him those names. How will he pass him those names? Maybe we can use a vector. So server, maybe he'll put the names in those names in a vector and he's going to pass that vector as argument. So this method in that case will take parameter vector in angular bracket generics. That vector will be of strings, names, let's say clients. Okay. Throws remote exception. That's it. I think we are done. These will be the only two methods in chat client interface. These two methods will be called by server on every client. Okay. Now, since we are referring vector, we also need to import util. Okay. Import java dot util dot star. Okay. Let's save both the interfaces. Chat client interface dot java. Chat server interface dot java. Okay. So I think we are done with the interfaces. We have frozen the interfaces. Now the next thing that I would like to discuss with you about both the interfaces one by one. First, let's consider this chat server interface. Now, two things that I want to discuss about this interface with you is one, from where in your client code, do you think, do you think, are you going to call these methods on server? From where in your client code are you going to call these methods? From your client code, from where are you going to call login method on server? From where are you going to call take message on the server? From where are you going to call logout method on server? So that is the first thing that I want to discuss. Okay. And the second thing that I would like to discuss with you is how are you going to implement these methods in the server? How are you going to implement these methods in the server? So two things, from where in your client code are you going to give a call to these methods on server, and how are you going to implement these methods in the server? The same two things I will like to discuss about chat client interface also. From where in your server code are you going to call these two methods on client? From where in your server code are you going to call these two methods on client? And how are you going to implement these two methods in the client? Okay. But first, chat server interface. So let's begin. From where in your client code do you think are you going to call login method on server? From where in your client code are you going to call login method on server? Yes, constructor. As soon as client application starts, don't you think you should call login method on server? Yes. So you're going to call that login method from constructor. So in your client code, in your client constructor, from there, you will call login method on server, and that client is going to pass his name and his stub as arguments. Come to the next method, take message. From where in your client code do you think you're going to call this take message on server? Yes, action listener. You're going to register a common action listener with J text field and J button. Enter press on text field, button click, that action perform method will get called, get the text from the text field, call this method on server and pass that message as argument. Don't you think? So yes, you're going to call this method take message from action performed. In your client code, you will register action listener with J text field and J button, common action listener, enter pressed on text field, button clicked, action perform method will get called, get the text from the text field, call this method on server and pass this message, pass that message as argument. From where in your client code are you going to call logout method on server? From where in your client code are you going to call logout method on server? Window closing. So you're going to register window listener with your JFrame. Add window listener, new window adapter. You're going to register window listener with your JFrame. You're going to override that window closing method. And from there, you're going to give a call to logout method on server. So I think we discussed from where in your client code are you going to call these three methods. You're going to call login method from client constructor. You're going to call take message method from action perform. And you're going to call logout method from window closing. Okay. Now let's come to how are we going to implement? How are we going to implement login method in the server? What do you think are we going to do inside this method? How are we going to implement it? What's your guess? Every client is going to call this method and he's going to pass his name and his stub. What do you think should be done? Don't you think every client is calling this method, passing his name, passing his stub? Don't you think we should store both of them on the server side? We should store those names and we should store those stubs which are coming. Yes, we should store it. Where do you think are we going to store both of them? If vector, we can use vector, but these are two things. Two things. If we are storing it in a vector, will we use one vector or will we use two vectors? In one, we'll keep names. In other, we are going to keep those stubs. If we use two vectors, in one we keep names, in other we keep stubs. The only problem is how will we maintain that relationship? Whose name, whose stub? There is an association. That association has to be maintained. Name, stub, they are of the same person. There is an association. If you use two separate vectors, how will you maintain that association? So what do you think we should do? Yes, we can use a map. Remember? Key value pair. We can use a hash map or a hash table or a linked hash map, tree map, map, key value pairs, two things together. Both of them will get stored and both of them will be together. So that association will also be maintained. Key value, where key is the name of the person, name of the client, and value is his stub. So maybe we can use a hash table or a hash map and we can store both of them together. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can do that. But I have a question for you. See, here there are two things. So you may suggest a map and that is a good idea. But imagine if there were three things or four things which need to be stored and they are associated also. So they need to be stored together. Then what will you do? In that case, you cannot use a map. Let's say we have four things. Four things have to be stored. They are associated. They need to be stored together. Four things. You can use a map if there are two things which need to be stored. But if there are four things, what will you do? You can't use a map. Then in that case, what you will do? You know, the answer to this lies in the basics of OOPS. Okay. Basics of OOPS. I give you an example. A clue. I'm talking about four things. Let me talk about three things. Let's say an employee has called login method. Imagine an employee has called login method and he's passing his ID, his name, and his salary. Now all three things have to be stored and they have to be stored together. What do you think are you going to do? ID, name, salary. 3 things he has passed. What do you think you will do? Don't you think you will write an employee class? In that you will give 3 variables, ID, name, salary. You will give a no parameter constructor, 3 parameter constructor. This dot ID is equal to ID. This dot name is equal to name. This dot salary is equal to salary. And what you will do in the login method, as soon as he passes ID, name, salary, you will create an employee object. In that you will put ID, name, salary, and that employee object, you will put it in a vector. So you put them all together and you store them in a vector. Can't you do that? Can't you do the same thing here? Name and stub, you put it in one object, and that object you put it in a vector. Okay. You can always make your own data types. That's the beauty of OOPS. So don't you think that's the second possible solution to this other than using a map? And that's what I'm going to do. Because anyway, I'm going to use a map in the second stage of my project. Here, I'd like to go for this strategy. So what I will do, I will write a class. Listen to this. I will write a class, let's say class client info. And in that class client info, I'll declare 2 instance variables, string name, chat client interface ref. I'll give a 2 parameter constructor. Public client info takes 2 parameters, string name, comma chat client interface ref. This dot name is equal to name, this dot ref is equal to ref. Now here what I'll do in login method, as soon as someone gives a call to login, passes his name and stub, the first thing that I'll do in login is create object of client info. Client info CI is equal to new client info inside the bracket name comma ref. I'll put that name and stub in a client info object. And then second, v.add CI. I'm going to keep that client info object in a vector. So I put them together and I store it. So it will get stored also and they'll remain associated also. I hope you got it. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to write a class client info, 2 instance variables inside, string name, chat client interface ref, 2 parameter constructor, public client info takes 2 parameters, string name, comma chat client interface ref. This dot name is equal to name. This dot ref is equal to ref. Constructor over, class over. In login method, the first thing that we are going to do is create object of client info. Now this client info class, you can write it as inner class to your server. You can write it as outer class to your server. You can make it a separate source code. That is your choice. Whatever you can do. You can make it an inner class. You can make it an outer class. You can make it a separate source code. Whatever you feel like. But that's what we are going to do. We are going to write that class client info. And in the login method, the first thing that I'm going to do is create object of client info. Client info CI is equal to new client info inside the bracket name comma ref. Then v.add CI. I'm going to put that client info object in the vector. v.add CI. v.add. I'm going to put that client info object in the vector. Now after listening to this, that I'm going to store that client info object in a vector. After listening to this, do you think something more should be done in that class client info? Some more code do you think should be written in that class client info? Right now, just what we have done, 2 instance variables and parameterized constructor. After listening that I'm going to keep that client info object in vector, do you feel something more should be done in that class client info? Yes, don't forget the most important thing that you should do in class client info, override equals method. Remember collections framework? I taught you vector works on principle 1, vector works on equals method. Don't you think here the logical equality is different than referential equality? 2 client info objects are equal, are same if the name inside them is same. Isn't it? That is the logical equality. 2 client info objects are equal, they are same if the name inside them is same. That's the logical equality. Don't you think we should override equals method in client info class and put this logical equality inside it? because you're going to store client info objects in vector, and vector works on equals method. If your equals method is not proper, the vector is not going to work properly for you. Now this is important. That's what I was telling you in collections framework. These things do matter in big applications. You may not override hash code. You may not give body to compare to, but you definitely should override equals. You know vector works on equals. So that is what another important thing that I'm going to do in my class client info. So my class client info, I'll be declaring 2 instance variables. I'll be giving 2 parameter constructor, and I'll be overriding equals method. And I'm going to put logical equality inside it. 2 client info objects are same if the name inside them is same. I hope you got it. So coming back to my login method, what all things I'm going to do in my login method in the server? I'm going to do 4 things, 4. The first thing that I'm going to do is create client info object, put the name and stub inside it. Client info CI is equal to new client info inside the bracket name comma ref. The second thing that I'm going to do is add that client info object to the vector. Create a client info object, put it in a vector. 2. Third thing, you know, the third thing that I'm going to do from login is from login method of server, I'm going to call take message of all the clients. Take message of all the clients, passing a message that this person, this guy name has logged in. So that is the third thing that I'm going to do from login. From login, I'm going to call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this person has logged in. Okay. And the fourth thing that I'm going to call, that fourth thing that I'm going to do in login method is I'm going to call take client list method. Take client list method of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which contains that person's name also, which contains this new person's name also. Don't you think that is what we should do? Yes. So I hope you understood the 4 things that I'm going to do in login method. First, I'm going to create client info object. Second, I'm going to put that client info object in the vector. The third thing that I'm going to do is call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this guy is logged in. And the fourth thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to call take client list of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which contains this person's name also. Okay. So that is how we are going to implement login method. Okay. Take message. How are we going to implement this method in the server? Client is going to call this method and he's going to pass a message that he wants to get broadcasted. So what do you think you should do inside this method? You know what I'm going to do from this method? From this take message method, I'm going to call take message of all the clients. From this take message of server, I'm going to call take message of all the clients, passing the same message. That is how server is going to broadcast. Na? From this take message of server, we are going to call take message of all the clients, passing the same message. That is how we broadcast. Simple as that. Logout. How do you think are you going to implement this method in the server? Client is going to call logout, pass his name when he wants to go. So what do you think should be done? Yes, don't you think the very first thing that we should do in logout is this guy who wants to log out, his corresponding client info object should be removed from the vector. When he had logged in, what we had done, we had created his client info object and we had put it in vector. So when he's logging out, don't you think his corresponding client info object, which we have kept in vector, should be removed? That is the first thing that we should do. So that will be the first thing I'll do. This guy's client info object, I'll remove it from the vector. The second thing that I will do from logout is I'm going to call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this guy has logged out. Okay. I'll call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this guy has logged out. The third thing that I'm going to do from logout is I'm going to call take client list of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which does not contain this person's name. Okay. So 3 things I'm going to do. I repeat again, in the logout method, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the client info object for this guy. Okay. The second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this guy is logged out. And the third thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to call take client list of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which does not contain this person's name. Okay. So that is how I am going to implement these 3 methods in the server. First, I discussed with you from where in our client application are we going to call these methods. We are going to call login method from client's constructor. We are going to call take message from action perform, and we are going to call logout from window closing. How are we going to implement these methods in the server? In the login method, we are going to do 4 things. We are going to create client info object. We are going to put it in the vector. We are going to call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this guy is logged in. And we are going to call take client list of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which contains this person's name also. How are we going to implement take message on the server? From this take message of server, we are going to call take message of all the clients, passing that same message. That is how we are going to broadcast. Okay. How are we going to implement logout? From logout. In the logout, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to remove this person's client info object. That is the first thing that we are going to do. Then second, we are going to call take message of all the clients, passing a message that this guy is logged out. The third thing that we are going to do, we are going to call take client list of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which does not contain this person's name. That is how we are going to do it. Okay. So I think we have discussed about this interface, but now a few more things. If you see from login, from take message, from logout, from all 3 of them, we are calling take message of all the clients. From all 3 methods, we are calling take message of all the clients. But the question is, are we going to call that take message directly on the client? No. We are going to call it on client stub. We are not going to call take message directly on the client. We are going to call it on client stub. And where have we kept that client stub? On the server side, where have we kept that stub? In client info object. And where have we kept client info object? In the vector. We are supposed to call take message on client stub. Client stub, we have kept it in client info. Client info, we have kept it in vector. So don't you think we'll have to parse the vector, get 1 by 1 client info, from there get the stub, call the method. Parse the vector, get 1 by 1 client info, from there get the stub, call the method. Complete parsing code has to be written, and that parsing code we are going to repeat in login, in take message, in logout, in all 3 methods, because we want to call take message of client from all 3 methods. So this parsing code, you're going to repeat. Not a good idea. What we will do, this parsing code, we'll write it in a separate method. In the server, we'll give a separate method, let's say broadcast message. There is where we are going to write that parsing code. And what we'll do from all 3 methods, we are going to call that broadcast message method. Okay. I hope you got it. Similarly, from login and from logout, from both these methods, we are calling take client list of all the clients. Again, we are not going to call that take client list method directly on the client. We are going to call it on client stub. And that client stub, again, we have kept it in client info. Client info, we have kept it in vector. So again, what we'll have to do? Parsing. We'll have to parse the vector, get 1 by 1 client info, from there get the stub, call that take client list method. So we are going to repeat that parsing code in login as well as in logout. Again, what we'll do in our server, we'll keep a separate method where we'll do this parsing. Let's say broadcast list. And from these two methods, we are going to call that method. I hope you got it. So you know, the server application is completely in front of you. What all things, listen to this carefully. What all things will be there in the server application? In your server application, one, there will be a constructor. Constructor. What all things we are going to do in constructor? We are going to instantiate vector. We decided to keep client info objects in vector. So the vector has to be instantiated. So the first thing that we are going to do in constructor is instantiate vector. Second thing, start RMI registry. Third, bind the stub. Server is going to bind this stub. Did you understand the three things in the constructor? One, instantiate vector. Second, start the registry. Third, bind the stub. So three things in the constructor. After constructor, we'll have login method. And in the login method, we'll do four things as discussed. The first thing that we are going to do is create client info object. Second, put that client info object in the vector. Third, call broadcast message. That broadcast message, that user defined method that we are going to give in server, which is going to parse that vector, get one by one client info, from there get the stub, call that take message method of all the clients. So coming back in the login, first create client info object. Second, put it in the vector. Third, call broadcast message, passing a message that this person has logged in. Okay. The fourth thing that we are going to do is call broadcast list. Again, a user defined method, which is again going to parse the vector, get one by one client info, from there get the stub, and he's going to call that take client list method on all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which contains this person's name also. So once again, login method, four things: create client info object, put it in vector, call broadcast message, passing a message that this guy is logged in, and call broadcast list. Constructor, then login method, then third, take message method. From take message method, only one thing, one thing has to be done: call broadcast message, passing the same message. Then after take message, we can write that, okay, we give this logout method. In the logout method, the first thing, remove this client's client info from the vector. Remove this client's client info from the vector, then call broadcast message that this guy has logged out, passing a message that this person has logged out, and call broadcast list. Okay. So three things in logout: remove the corresponding client info object from the vector, this guy's client info object from the vector, call broadcast message, passing a message that this guy has logged out, and the third thing, call broadcast list, which will in turn call take client list of all the clients, passing a new vector of client names, which does not have this person's name. So constructor, login, take message method, logout. Then we will have to give those two user defined methods, broadcast message and broadcast list. In broadcast message, again and again, as I've told you, parse the vector, get one by one client info, from there get the stub, call take message. Similarly, in broadcast list, parse the vector, get one by one client info, from there get the stub, and call take client list on the client. Okay. So constructor, login, take message, logout, broadcast message, broadcast list, and a main method. In the main method, you just have to do new your chat server. A part of that, in your server application, as I told you, that client info class has to be written, that you can write it as inner class. It can be written as outer class. It can be also written as a separate source code. That is your choice. Okay. So this makes up your server application. So we discussed about this interface. Now let's go to chat client interface. We have two methods. Again, I need to discuss those two things with you about these two methods. From where in your server code are you going to call these two methods on client? And how are you going to implement these two methods in client application? From where in server code are we going to call these methods? We already discussed. We are going to call that take message method from login, from take message of server and logout. From all three, login, take message and logout, we are going to call take message of all the clients. From where are we going to call take client list? That also we discussed. We are going to call that take client list method from login method of server and logout method of server. So from where in our server code are we going to call these two methods on client? We have already discussed. Remains to discuss how are we going to implement these two methods in the client. It's actually simple. That take message method in the client, how are you going to implement it? Server is going to call it and he's going to pass a message. Don't you think that message has to be displayed in the text area? That's it. One line of code. JTA.append, where JTA is a text area, that message has to be appended with a new line /n. Take client list. This method, how are you going to implement it in the client? Simple. This vector which has been passed by server, you need to pass that vector. Get 1 by 1 string, which is nothing but the name of the client. Add it to your JList. Parse the vector, get the names, add it to your JList. But before that, clear the JList so that there are no duplicates. That's it. That's the only thing which is done. That is how we are supposed to implement it. So I hope you got an idea of the server application as well as client application. Okay. So in the next session, we are going to write server application and client application. Okay. In the meantime, we have already discussed. You can try this till I take a next session. But before I close my session, we need to compile both of them. Let's compile both of them. First, we need to compile chat client interface. Why? Because in chat server interface, you are referring chat client interface. If you go to your chat server interface here, you are referring chat client interface. So first chat client interface needs to be compiled. Then only will this chat server interface will get compiled. So on my command prompt, first I'll compile chat client interface. Java C -d dot chat client interface dot Java. And now we need to compile chat server interface dot Java. So I think we are done. Okay. So we'll meet in the next session and we are going to write that applications, server part and client part. In the meantime, you can try. So bye for now.